Whitesnake have always been fairly anachronistic in the terms of the fashionable, trendy music press, because if you think about it, when David was launching Whitesnake, punk had happened, new wave was in its first throes, and there he is making records that sound like Free, who were around in the very early 70s, I mean, and with very little anything new to offer. I mean, you know, David's concession to new wave is he might have worn a skinny tie with a leather bomber jacket once, you know. But they've always been anachronistic. I mean, they were ripping off Led Zeppelin in 1987, but it takes a hard heart not to enjoy that title track, doesn't it? The title track from Slide It In is fantastic. I mean, you know, check your brain in at the door before for maximum enjoyment, because it is incredibly stupid, sexist rock song. But then again, what's wrong with that, really?
The highlights of Slide It In are obviously the title track, just because it's such a dumbass rock song that I don't think you can fail to like it. And I, you know, being the puerile idiot that I am, I always used to smile about the fact that they had a song called Spit It Out the other side. But, you know, I mean, that's part of the reason that you like David Coverdale and Whitesnake, because he used to, certainly, come up with his shit, and it was funny shit at the end of the day, and you can't get around that, you know. I mean, it was, you know, he used to drive certain people mad, and that was part of the reason that you liked it as well. And they're catchy songs.
I think that the Slide It In, the title, I mean, obviously the title of the album is very confrontational, as was the title track itself, Slide It In right to the top. I think that was Coverdale's attempt to poke fun at, you know, a lot of his critics in the UK. You know, Whitesnake had been singled out for a lot of criticism for their sort of attitude towards women in the images on the album sleeves and in Coverdale's lyrics, and I think that was him being deliberately confrontational. Out in America, I don't think they necessarily saw the double entendre at all. I think American rock, a lot of American rock was, you know, as unsubtle as Whitesnake. And I'm sure out there it was just celebrated as just, yeah, great. You know, Slide It In. Slide it in, right to the top. Slide it in, I ain't never gonna stop. Slide it in, right to the top. Slide it in, slide it in, slide it in, right to the top. Slide it in, I ain't never gonna stop it up. Slide it in, right to the top. Come on. Slide it in, slide it in, slide it, slide it in, slide it in. Right to the top, baby.
Using Slide It In for the American copy of the album to open the album is one of the very rare examples of America getting it right. It's a very good track, very quick, punchy. You can understand why it was used. I don't think Gambler actually is a very good song. In fact, I personally think it's one of the weakest on Slide It In, and have never been able to sort of understand why it was used as an opener. I mean, it's kind of like, if you look at Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast, look at Gangland and Invaders, and I mean, compared with the rest of the album, they're shit, basically. You know, and with hindsight, you get people now reassessing that album and saying, well, you know, they're crap, or we don't know what they were doing on the record. It's the same with Gambler on Slide It In.
I've been a gypsy for 1,000 years, victim of circumstance. I'll go wherever my destiny calls, caught in a game of chance. Stand on the outside, looking at love. I wanna get inside. Stand on the outside, looking at love, just trying to get inside.
Low points of Slide It In, specifically the sleeve, which doesn't match up to some of the puerile, childish highlights of earlier Whitesnake sleeves, which were mostly noted for protecting a woman's vulva in the snake of the tongue in a very crass fashion, but still sleeves that occasionally I'll pull out today. People at home and go, hey, look at that. But the sleeve wasn't up to much compared with what had gone before, have to be honest. Gambler's not a particularly great song to open the album with, but by the time you've got past it, there's such good stuff on the record that it's like, oh, I'm running with this kind of thing. There aren't too many low points, really, to be honest with you, with Slide It In.
Superstitious woman, I got a superstitious mind, and I don't care. Come on, so take me down.
Slow and Easy and Love Ain't No Stranger are the most obvious Zeppelin type rockers. A lot of the music at this point was sort of half that Deep Purple funky blues sound that Coverdale, along with Glenn Hughes, had kind of made their own in Deep Purple, and half his Led Zeppelin aspirations. They're doing something slightly different, and it working within the new framework that he had set up for Whitesnake. Like I said, I don't believe for a minute that it was as pre-planned as something like 1987 was, but you can certainly see that people around Whitesnake or within the Whitesnake camp would have started hearing this stuff and started to think, oh, hang on a minute, maybe we've got bigger fish to fry here.
Songs like Slow and Easy and Love Ain't No Stranger, they are the sort of the test run, the dummy run, if you like, for what Whitesnake did with the 1987 and the Slip of the Tongue albums, which is create music that was designed to be heard on American radio and which would lend itself well to a big video on MTV.
Want a superstitious woman, she got a superstitious mind.